Today on Stock Charts in Focus, we're sharing the secret to multi-timeframe analysis. If you are comparing charts, comparing stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, anything out there, this is a secret little checkbox that's going to take your analysis to the next level. It's going to make it incredibly easy to compare those different symbols, whether you're comparing across time frames, across chart types. You got different sets of indicators and you want to take a list of stocks, compare them with different charts. This is going to make it incredibly easy. You're going to see the power of it on today's show. Hidden little checkbox, going to take your charting to the next level. We're going to do it in ACP, going to do it in the new SharpCharts Workbench. So lots to cover on the show today. Of course, you know what it is. It's all new. It's all here. It's Stock Charts in Focus. All right, my friends, welcome to the show, Stock Charts in Focus. Of course, our product focus show here on the channel where we dig into the site, dive into those tools, walk through those features, and ultimately help you get more value out of stock charts. That is our mission here every Friday up on the Stock Charts TV channel. So good to be back with you for another episode this week. If you're new to the show, my name is Grayson Rose, a Director of Operations here at StockCharts.com. We were off last week, so it feels good to be back in the saddle this Friday. We got a great one for you. I am very, very excited about this show for a couple of different reasons. First and foremost, the content of the show is great. This is a checkbox in ACP and in the new SharpCharts Workbench that really is going to take your multi-timeframe charting especially to the next level. But really, it's not just multi-timeframe analysis. If you are using different sets of indicators, different kind of chart templates, comparing symbols, trying to whittle down your stock list, your watch list, or evaluating everything that you own in your portfolio, this is an incredibly powerful tool. So we're going to show you exactly how it works on the show today. One of my favorite little features of ACP, and we're bringing it to the new SharpCharts Workbench. So that's actually the other reason why I'm so excited about today's show. This is one of those new things that we're bringing to our new SharpCharts Workbench. Doesn't exist in the old page, is going to exist in the new Workbench. So you're going to see that page in action, you're going to see this tool in action, and we're going to talk a little bit about kind of where SharpCharts is going, what's happening over in that side of the website. So lots to cover. I say we jump over to Stock Charts and get it going. For today's episode, we are going to start in ACP. This is our advanced charting platform. Some of you are probably very familiar with this. Others might be new to ACP here. But dynamic charts, very fluid. You can move through time. You can scroll back and forth, kind of move things around, even control your indicator position simply by dragging things around the chart. This is kind of our newest chart type, newest charting feature that we have on Stock Charts. Came out a couple of years ago and continues to get better and better. You have two different ways to chart the markets though on Stock Charts, two primary charting platforms. Of course, we've got ACP here, our interactive experience, but we also have our classic tool, that SharpCharts tool, a little bit more static, those charts that we are so well known for. The good news is that we are continuing to expand both of these platforms. So anytime we show off ACP, I always like to mention this because it's one of the big questions that we get, especially from our SharpCharts users. What's happening with SharpCharts? Is ACP taking over? The answer is absolutely not. As you're going to see later in the show today, we are actually bringing out a new version of the SharpCharts page later this month, and we're going to continue to expand that into January, into 2024 and beyond. So SharpCharts has been a huge area of focus for us, and we've got some very, very exciting new things coming out for SharpCharts, as you're going to see in just a bit. The other reason, though, that we're starting in ACP is that the tool that we're going to talk about on the show today actually originated in ACP. Before we really dive into it, this is what we're talking about. This little checkbox here in the chart list sidebar in ACP, and also down in the drawer where your chart lists exist down there as well. The load symbol only checkbox. This is something that we've highlighted a few times on the show in the past, but today I really want to emphasize this because it truly is one of my favorite features of ACP, one of those things that I use constantly, and every time I show it to people, they go, "Oh, that is really, really cool. I am definitely going to start using that." So want to make sure that you all are aware of how this tool works. So we're going to start here in ACP. We'll take a quick tour and then we'll jump over to that new SharpCharts Workbench, show you where this is located over there, and talk a little bit about kind of what's happening with SharpCharts. So here's the problem that we are solving today. You've got a list of stocks, right? And when you save those list of stocks, that big list of stocks, into a chart list in your StockCharts account, every chart is saved with a specific set of settings. So if I click through this list, in this case, we're looking at a chart list in my account. This is new all-time highs from today in the S&P 1500. We've got, as you can see, 50 charts in here. This is a great list of strong stocks that I like to review on a daily basis. Things that are making new all-time highs are, by definition, doing pretty well and pretty strong. So this is one of those lists that I like to review every day. Now, we've got 50 charts to go through in this list. And as you can see, when these get saved to a chart list in my account, each one is saved with a specific set of settings. In this case, we're looking at my default chart. I've got a relative strength line up at the top. We're looking at a daily chart over the last year and a half. I got a couple of moving averages and volume on this chart. So all of the different symbols in this list are going to be that exact same template. This is my default, and that's what the list is going to get set up with. When I'm looking at a list of 50 stocks, though, I'm not going to go out and buy 50 stocks. So in this case, if I'm thinking of this kind of as a watch list of things that I might be interested in reviewing and potentially trading at some point in the future, I want to whittle this list down. I want to take that list of 50, right? And I want to narrow it down to only the ones that I'm focused on. To do that, I need to start comparing these different charts. Now, in my case, I personally, with the time frame that I trade, things like that, I like to bring in multi-timeframe analysis. I like to bring in different timeframes, different perspectives, long-term and shorter-term, to kind of start to narrow down this list, right? When I'm comparing these charts, I want to find the ones that are set up really well right now, but also, I like to say, have a character of winning, have been outperforming in a strong uptrend for a longer period of time. So I want to take all of these daily charts and I want to review them with a weekly style. But I don't really want to overwrite all of these saved charts. I don't want to have to go in and kind of step on any of my work. If I've got annotations on these charts, if I've made notes on them, different things like that. I just want to temporarily review this list of 50 stocks with a different style, other than what is actually saved to the charts in this list. So this is where the load symbol only checkbox becomes incredibly powerful. We're going to talk about this right now with a watch list. In this case, we're looking, like I said, at those new all-time highs in the S&P 1500. But as we're going through this, think about doing this with your portfolio. Take all the stocks and ETFs and other positions that you have, put those into a chart list in your StockCharts account, and you're going to want to be able to review all of those different things that you own with different time frames or with different sets of indicators. This is where this feature can really, really help you out. So in this case, let's say we want to take all of these 50 charts. You can see as we click through, right, all of these are going to be that same daily style. Let's say that we want to review this with a longer term weekly view so that we can start to say, okay, we're going to throw this one out because it's weak on the long-term view. We're going to keep this one because it's strong on the long-term view. We want to review all 50 charts with a different chart style, different set of indicators, different time frame. So I'm going to come up, in my case, to my chart styles. I can actually get there right here. My chart templates in ACP, accessible from this menu up at the top or from the pullout over on the left side of the screen. I'm going to drop this menu down, and what I'm going to do is select my level 1 weekly style. So now, as you can see, we're looking at a much longer term chart. In this case, as you can see right here in the label, we're looking at a weekly chart. So the period of this chart has changed. We're also looking at much more data. We're looking at 7.5 years in this case. So a longer term view. I now want to be able to review all the charts in that same list, same group of symbols, with this style that I have on the screen. Now, the clunky way to do this, just to show you exactly why this is so important, I could click into each chart and then change the chart template and then click to the next chart and change the chart template again, but that's going to be very inefficient. See, when I click ACM, now we're back to that daily style because those are the settings that are actually saved to this chart in this list. So I could come in here now and say, okay, we're going to pull up that weekly style. Here we go. Now we're looking at the long term. Now I want to go down to Allstate. Okay, we click into that. Oh, back to the daily style. back over to the weekly. See, this is inefficient. We don't want to do this. So this is where the load symbol only checkbox becomes very, very important. Once we pull up the settings that we want on the screen, in this case, our longer term weekly style, 7.5 year weekly view, we're going to come over to the chart list sidebar and we're going to hit load symbol only. When that checkbox is checked, it means that anything I click in this chart list, all that's going to happen is the symbol from that chart is going to be pulled into the settings that I already have in the middle of the screen. In other words, we're only going to load the symbol. We're not going to load the saved settings that are actually saved, all of the charts, the symbols in this chart list. So I can now take that longer term style and I can review this list of 50 all-time highs in the S&P 1500 with the weekly style. Here we go. I just clicked ACM just as I did a minute ago, but in this case, the only thing that gets loaded is the symbol. So I can now scroll through this list. I'm now into Allstate. I can now jump to AMP. I can jump down to APH. And as you see, I'm now using that longer term style, longer term set of chart settings for all of these symbols. This allows me to analyze the same list on the fly really, really easily with any settings that I want without overwriting anything in that list. So in this case, we've jumped to that weekly. We can now review everything in this list with that long-term perspective. Now, let's say we wanted to do the opposite. Maybe we want to get really, really narrow with everything in this list. Now we're looking at just a couple of days of 1 minute data. Every tick on this chart, every bar represents 1 minute of trading activity. We could do the exact same thing. We've still got that load symbol only checkbox checked. So I can now click through this list and review everything with that very short-term intraday chart. So the load symbol only checkbox allows you to kind of temporarily review a chart list from your account with new settings that aren't actually saved to that chart. Very, very helpful for moving through different chart templates on the fly, again, without having to resave the entire list, overwrite any of your work. Especially if you've got annotations on the saved chart, but you still want to review that symbol and everything else in the list with some different settings, this is a very, very powerful feature. Now, if any of you are SharpCharts users and you're sitting there thinking, this sounds a little bit like apply style to all, this is kind of a temporary version of apply style to all. So the apply style to all feature of the SharpCharts Workbench allows you to take an entire chart list and apply the chart settings you have on the screen to everything in that list. That's kind of the old school way of doing this. Like I said, overwriting different settings that you have actually saved to that list. With this newer version, though, the load symbol only checkbox, it allows you to do a very, very similar thing, sort of functionally, but on the fly. That is the key of it. So I love using this to review my watch lists. I find that this is incredibly helpful for reviewing watch lists when I want to flip through different sets of indicators, different time frames in particular for a big group of stocks. I find this is also very helpful for my portfolio. When I sit down on the weekends to review my portfolio across different time frames, I want to take everything that I own and say, okay, how's it look on the weekly? How's it look on the daily? How's it look on the short-term intraday price action? I can do that very, very easily with this load symbol only checkbox, pulling up any of the different templates from my account. Now, the other thing that's very, very cool about this, though, it's not just time frames where this can be very helpful. To me, that's one of the best use cases for this feature, but it's also great for reviewing different sets of indicators. So for instance, I have a couple of different chart templates saved in my account, which use different sets of indicators, different tools, different kind of views that I want to use from time to time. These aren't necessarily primary for me. I've got my default chart style that I typically like with that price relative and the volume, a couple moving averages. But from time to time, I want to review different symbols with something like the moving average ribbon. I want to use this tool sort of when I want it. Thanks to the load symbol only checkbox, I can review any list from my account, any chart list from my account, with any of the different chart styles or chart templates that I have saved to my account. So here's a different chart template that I have applied here in the middle of the screen. As you know, everything in this chart list has that standard default daily style that we looked at the beginning of the show. But now, thanks to this load symbol only checkbox, I can review everything in this list with that moving average ribbon. So if I want to sort of move between different sets of indicators, this makes it possible. Now I could jump over to another template from my account, like my Bollinger Band style, which takes a very specific look just at the Bollinger Bands indicators. I can do the exact same thing. I can start to review all of the symbols in this list with that Bollinger Band style on the screen. And again, I'm not overwriting anything in this list. The list stays as it is. Those charts that are actually saved there stay as they are. So as soon as I turn off this load symbol only checkbox, I can now click into any of the things from this list, and the original chart that's actually saved there, that classic daily style with the relative strength, the volume, the moving averages, that is still what is saved in this chart list. So that load symbol only checkbox, very, very helpful. Again, here in ACP, you can access that from the panel on the right side of the screen, the chart list panel. And you can also open up the drawer at the bottom of the screen. You've got a load symbol only checkbox down in there. So depending on the screen that you're working with, the size and things like that, if you're working out of the drawer, if you're working out of the sidebar, you can turn that load symbol only checkbox on and off from a couple of different places around ACP. Now, one of the other things that we have in ACP, before we jump over to SharpCharts, we actually have the ability to view your SharpCharts right out of ACP. View basically ACP versions of your saved SharpCharts. So if you are a SharpCharts user and you want to take advantage of any of the different indicators that are available in ACP, some of those things that we haven't yet brought over to SharpCharts, you can actually do that very, very easily. Here, if I jump over to my SharpCharts lists, as you can see, here's one of the chart lists out of my account. This is my tier 1 watch list, as I like to call it. And if I give this a click with the load symbol only checkbox turned off, this is basically going to load an ACP version of the Sharp chart that's saved to that list. If I want to take this though and jump to something like my anchored VWAP style, which gives me the ability to add the anchored volume weighted average price to different symbols, I can jump over to this style, start using an indicator like the anchored VWAP, and because I have that load symbol only checkbox right in here, I can actually review all of the different symbols in this list using some of those different indicators. We've also got crazy things in here like our different plugins. So for instance, if I jump into sample charts, I could pull up the go, no go sample chart. And I could even take a SharpCharts chart list that I've saved over in the SharpCharts world, come over here, turn on that load symbol only checkbox, and I can pull up that list. And again, review that list with some of these indicators kind of on the fly without disrupting that saved SharpCharts chart list behind the scenes. So very, very powerful. I always like to point out this feature here in ACP. For any of you SharpCharts users who are interested in exploring ACP, this is a great way to do it. You actually have access to all of your saved lists, saved chart lists, right here in the sidebar, and you can start to play around with some of these different features. You know, review these chart lists, use some of those new plugin indicators and different tools that we've added to ACP. See how it feels to you, and you can always jump back to SharpCharts after that. Speaking of jumping back to SharpCharts, let's jump over there and take a look at that new workbench. So as you can see, we've got the power of the load symbol only checkbox highlighted here in ACP. We've heard great things from you guys over the years about that feature. It's been received very, very positively, and I am a huge fan of it. Like I said, I use the load symbol only checkbox in ACP a ton. That is one of those things that I use a lot. So we have now brought that same functionality over to SharpCharts with our new SharpCharts Workbench that is coming out very, very soon. Now, with that new SharpCharts Workbench, rather than keep everything under wraps behind the scenes for months and months and months, and then just kind of say, here it is, it's new, go use it, we've tried to involve you guys. We want your thoughts, we want your feedback, we want your input on what we are working on as a team. So we've actually put out the new SharpCharts Workbench as a sort of a beta tool for you to go and play around with. One of the best ways to get there is from right here on your members dashboards. When you log into your StockCharts account, look in the member tools area, make sure technology previews is turned on, and you'll actually have a couple of these different links for some of the things that we are working on. We've got the new market carpets tool, some other enhancements that are coming to SharpCharts very soon, but at the very top, we've got our new SharpCharts Workbench. So you can jump right to here from the members dashboard, one of the best places to get there. So there's a ton to review here on the new SharpCharts Workbench. We're not going to do a whole tour. We did actually an episode a couple of weeks ago on some of the new things that have rolled out on this SharpCharts page, new Workbench, and we are going to continue to do that. This is still a work in progress. We've got another release here coming out later this month. We're going to have more updates rolling out for the new SharpCharts Workbench, and then throughout 2024, we've got some huge plans, very exciting stuff for what we're going to be doing with this new page. But the new SharpCharts Workbench really is kind of the wrapper around your Sharp chart. So all of the menus and buttons and everything above and below those charts, that is what we call the SharpCharts Workbench. There's a ton in here. Some highlights for me. You've got quick access to kind of your chart controls up at the top of the screen, especially this little menu that drops down right here. Very nice to have quick access to some of those different things. Some really nice preferences in here as well, auto sizing your charts, and you can actually choose between center aligning or left aligning your charts on the screen. If you like that classic view, you can leave them left aligned, but if you like your charts in the middle of the screen, I'm really enjoying that. You can actually center align your charts right here. Moving through your chart lists, very easy with these menus right up at the top. You've got access to all of the chart lists from your account right up here. And then once you select any of those different chart lists, you've got all of the saved charts right within. That is where that load symbol only checkbox is going to be. So we'll come back to that in just a sec. You also have all of your SharpCharts chart styles right here as well. So really nice quick access to that. And then down below, we're building these very exciting panels. So we're going to be doing a lot more with the Workbench beyond just the settings of your charts. You're going to be able to access a summary view for all of your chart lists. That's going to include price data, dividend information, other fundamentals. We're going to have earnings dates in there, tons and tons of stuff. Basically, the summary view for your SharpCharts chart list, it's going to exist right here. We're also building in some great features like the ability to see all of your price alerts right in here. Pretty soon, you're going to be able to run scans from here. You can see the options chain table right in here as well for anything that you're charting up above. And soon, we're going to have the entire symbol summary panel down here as well. So this area of the SharpCharts Workbench is going to continue to expand. Really excited about some of the things we're bringing out there. And one of my other favorite features of this new page, we also have the ability to create alerts right from the new Workbench. So some very cool things. And you can launch a quick action menu if you right click on your charts. So right in here, give the chart a right click, and you've got some quick actions in here for things like saving, adding a chart style, annotating or creating an alert, and then some different sharing options as well. Very cool to have some of that stuff in there. So quick highlights of the new SharpCharts Workbench. But the big news is that we're going to continue to expand this page with more and more features. Some of those new things that we've tested out in ACP and have had a good response to, we're going to be bringing over some of those things to SharpCharts here. That is going to include indicators and things like that, so stay tuned for more on that. But one great example here is that load symbol only checkbox. So again, we mentioned the apply style to all functionality. I want to highlight that a little bit for any of you SharpCharts users who are familiar with this. We have in this menu down at the very bottom the apply chart style to all functionality. We've had this in the old Workbench for quite some time. What this button is going to do, it's going to take everything in this list and any of the settings that you have on the screen, basically the chart template, chart style that you have on the screen, it's going to apply that to everything in this list. So it's a very powerful feature. It can do a lot for you. But it is a little bit dangerous because I keep using this word overwrite, right? All of the charts in this list, they all have a set of symbols saved to them. They also have potentially annotations, different things that you've drawn on that chart. When you use that apply chart style to all functionality down here at the bottom, you have a chance of overwriting your saved chart. So the period is going to change potentially. Some of those different tools and indicators that you have on there are going to change. You might lose your annotations, different things like that. So very powerful feature down here if you're familiar with that apply style to all functionality, but it is a little bit dangerous. So that's why we've built this load symbol only functionality in ACP, and that's why we're doing it here in the new version of SharpCharts as well. Works the exact same. So as I flip through this list, you can see that All of these charts use a very similar style, that daily style, relative strength up at the top. We got a couple of moving averages on there as well. So if I flip through this, the exact same demo we just did with ACP, all of these have that daily style. But if I want to review the save charts from this list with something different, I can turn on that load symbol only checkbox right in that charts menu. And now I could pull up something like let's do an even longer term one. This is now a 15-year weekly chart, much longer term. You can see weekly right there. So we've got a very long-term weekly chart on the screen now, and I can do the exact same thing. Again, because that load symbol only checkbox is turned on, I can now flip through this list, and I won't be disrupting the chart settings that are on the screen, and I won't be overwriting anything that's in that list. I can review this entire chart list now with any of these different sets of settings kind of on the fly. So really nice to have this same exact functionality that we just reviewed in ACP, but you have this now in the new SharpCharts Workbench. Again, great for multi-timeframe analysis if you want to move between intraday, daily, weekly, monthly styles, different periods, different time frames too. If you want to have a 1-year chart, a 5-year chart, and a 10-year chart, you can use that for that purpose. Also, though, really great, just like we showed off in ACP, really great for moving through different sets of indicators. So here we've got, for instance, a scooter view. That's our stock charts technical rank. If we really wanted to focus in on how the scooter line has been moving for all of these different symbols, we could sort of temporarily jump over to this chart template out of my account. I can start to review all of the different symbols in this list using this style. And then when I want to jump over to something else like a rate of change chart, I can jump over to that and continue reviewing this list with a different set of indicators. As soon as I turn that load symbol only checkbox off, again, once we jump back, we're going to go back to those saved charts that are actually in that list. So this is kind of a temporary way to view your saved symbols, saved chart lists with different sets of indicators, different time frames, different periods, all of that good stuff. Very powerful. Hopefully you've seen that today. Again, if you're using multi-timeframe analysis in your approach, I think this is one of those features that you got to know about in ACP and on the new SharpCharts Workbench. So that is our show for today, digging into one of my favorite features, one of those things that I always love to highlight when people say, hey, what are some hidden gems that I might not know about on the StockCharts platform? This is definitely one that comes to mind. Load symbol only makes it so easy to review different symbols. Again, I like to use this for a couple of different purposes, multi-timeframe analysis and different chart settings and things like that, but especially when it comes to comparing symbols. To me, that's where this thing really flies. When I've got a list of symbols that have come across my scans, come across my alerts, different things like that, and I'm trying to take that big list, narrow it down to just the ones that I want to focus on. This load symbol only functionality, when I'm comparing those different symbols, comparing different security types, things like that, very crucial. That's when this thing to me really flies. Also fantastic for reviewing your portfolio. That's another great use case for this. Take those symbols that you own, put them in a chart list, and review them across different time frames. It's a fantastic way to think about the things that you own, not just always a 1-year daily chart, but think about the 10-year weekly view. Think about the 5-year weekly view. Think about the 1-year daily, and then maybe down to the intraday price action. See how things are moving on a very short-term time frame. So this load symbol only function makes it easy to do that with any of the chart lists from your StockCharts account. I want to thank you again for joining me on the show today. It's been a fun one. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, remember, throw it a like down below, subscribe to the channel. That really helps us out. We are getting really close to 100,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. We're almost there. So if you're not yet subscribed, definitely subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. We've got so much exciting content up there on the StockCharts TV channel. Always something new from Dave Keller every day and from our other contributors throughout the week. So definitely follow that channel. Helps make your market analysis easier. Brings insights right to you on a daily basis. Again, my name is Grayson Rose, Director of Operations here at StockCharts.com. It's been wonderful to be with you. I'll see you again soon for another episode of StockCharts in Focus next Friday. But until then, chart on, my friends.